Sure is a cold night tonight.
I suppose it is. I am more concerned with what exactly is it we are to do if we find these people in this prison? Are we to deal with them in the way that Catalina likes to, or are we simply there to gather information? Or what are we to do? We cannot simply wander around a rocky island forever. So what?
I think we should prepare in case we do have to deal with them.
Oui.
But perhaps that is not our first mode of operations.
Well, what would be your first? Play the accordion and hope that they.
Get drawn out.
No, no. If you were at your hideout in the dark of night and you heard an accordion, you would just simply go towards it to see.
I don't suppose we could convince them nicely to stop trying to alter political things.
No.
Then we will have to convince them some other way.
I suppose it will be a matter of see how things go. No. Have you seen Alana?
I haven't. She must be around here somewhere.
Well, I am sure she is not going to be left out of something such as this. Marguerite is looking for Alana.
And she is towards the front of the vessel.
Ah, okay.
She is decked out in black, and she is waiting to storm the rigging and then the climb upwards.
She is there. So, Fenric, are you prepared to climb?
Climb,
Oui. Climb.
I guess.
You can climb, no?
I can. Maybe I'll just go last up the rigging. I don't want to slow anyone else down.
How long do you think you are going to take?
Longer than everyone else.
And by the time we are back, will you still be climbing?
I'm sure I can get up there faster than that. I think.
I am glad to hear it. Ah, well, come then, let us go join Alana and prepare to climb.
We should have the element of surprise unless they've spotted us. In and out. You know, capture all the people.
Capture! And where shall we take them?
Zarby. I guess I didn't think of that.
I suppose it is to capture them first and then to plan what to do with them. If that is your plan, I hope it goes well. All right,
Capture them and I I I don't know. Haven't thought that far ahead.
well, we shall see. We shall see. And Marguerite is walking over to where Alana is waiting.
And she has her arms folded, and you hear the swinging of the grapples, and then the clink as they hit the top, and they tug on it quite hard to make sure that they have found purchase. And when they have, they unroll the rope, and several ropes, about 5 of them, come down to the deck. And it's not silent, but they've been remarkably quiet.
Fenric will wait a few seconds and listen to see if he can hear any, like, alarm bells going off or any panicked footsteps clanging off the stone.
No, there's no alarms. The crew are being very quiet. If they're talking, they're whispering now. They are saying, wait, as they're doing the same thing, waiting to see if there's any alarm or any interest, if anyone's walked over. A small group of about 5 brutes are prepared to climb. They're looking to the captain for his signal, and you notice Alana is gone.
She has not waited for the captain's signal, I presume.
Did we see where she went at all? Okay.
Fenric is specifically looking up the ropes.
Yeah, I mean, like, can we... She's not out of sight already? Just... Okay, Marguerite's climbing after her.
Fenric is looking between the two climbing and the captain.
And he just takes off his hat, thumps it on the
Hey.
railing.
Once she started, Marguerite was felt like it's better to go after her than just let her try and storm the place on her own.
And the other 5 brutes start climbing.
Fenric waits until they're a full body's length up before he starts climbing.
And Alana gets to the top and slinks over like a cat.
Okay. And Marguerite is trying to stay quite close to her. And to be quiet.
And as you come over the top, you can see that there is a 1-story building. It's not particularly large. It's the size of a couple of decent-sized warehouses. It is not an attractive building. It is made from the stone of the island. You can see a lot of the stones that are around you have a similar sort of shade and texture to the ones that are made up of the walls. There is an entrance, which is the bottom left hand. There is 2 outside torches on the southern side mainly. And for argument's sake, we'll just do map north, top, south, bottom. There are 2 guards that are walking around outside that you can see. You can see the shadows. You can't see them very well, but you can see the shadows. They are not at the doorway, however.
Okay.
And eventually Fenric will get over the top of the wall with the grace of a bear. Meet up with the others.
All right, Marguerite is watching the shadows of the guards to see where they are going.
They seem to be patrolling, but sort of loosely. They don't get many visitors. They don't seem to be
Okay.
particularly alert. They're not stupid, but they just don't seem to have a lot that goes on. So they're
Fair.
not at heightened readiness.
And Marguerite will have her rapier drawn just in case. And Marguerite is keeping a close eye on Alana to make sure she cannot just disappear. Or she's going to do her best to make sure she can't just disappear. I can't promise anything, but she will do her best.
She is watching the 2 guards specifically.
As was Marguerite. And they don't have any kind of regular sort of a pattern or anything? No, they're just wandering about.
And everyone's moved about 8 feet, 9 feet away from the edge after they've climbed up. So
Yeah. We're not standing right on the edge, just
right.
hoping for the best.
Fenric will turn to Marguerite. So, do we want to take the 2 guards that we can see out first, or sneak in past them? They don't seem to be guarding the door.
I suppose that is up to you. I was going to simply try and make it to the door unnoticed myself. However, if anyone feels a need to remove the two guards, I suppose they can.
I mean, we could take them out. It's just a matter of can we do it silently?
I do not know. If you think you cannot, I would not risk it. No?
I know I can't. That's why I'm asking you. You remember last time we tried to take out guards before? I shot one of them.
Oi, I do. I remember. Alana was not pleased.
He looks over.
Fenric is wanting to know if we want to deal with the guards or simply run in, and he was reminding me of the time that he shot a guard, and I said you did not like that. What was it you were thinking of doing?
And she holds her chin deep in thought. I do not like the idea of them coming in behind us if the alarm is raised. But if the alarm is not raised, we might be able to get in and out without ever having to bother them.
Oi. I suppose that depends on how quiet we think we can be once we are inside.
And she looks at Fenric.
Oi. She wonders how quiet you can be inside.
I mean, as long as I don't have to fight anything, I should be okay, but we're going in there to fight, aren't we?
I am not quite sure what we are going to do. I thought you planned to capture everyone, no?
It's hard to do that. Most of them aren't willing to be captured. I don't think they will agree to a civil discussion on our boat. Tied up.
Well, he says that he can be quiet unless we have to fight. So, if we think we are going to fight at all inside the building, I suppose it is best to deal with them now.
She nods.
Can you go after one and I the other?
Soto.
Very good. Fenric, we are going to Alana and I try and quietly deal with these guards.
Alright, do you want to take any of these sailors with you? Or can you do it on your own?
I think we are fine.
Then we will stay back here and keep watch.
Well, perhaps you will head to the building once we have removed the guards, no?
Yes, we'll set up a perimeter. Yes.
Aha.
That way they can't escape.
Okay. Alright, so... Okay, I've got 3 raises.
One of the guards walks by a rock, and then the rock jumps up, as it was Alana. They didn't have any torches with them, so she just looked like a black, large sort of lump. And she grabs something from his belt, and as she thumps him with it behind the back of his head, you hear the jingle of coin, and he holds his head as he falls to the ground. The second one turns towards the sound of coin.
And Marguerite, who has been quietly walking along behind him as he has never once turned around, will suddenly notice that he has turned back towards her and decide that now is the opportunity she was waiting for, and with the hilt of her rapier, strike him in the side of the head. And he too will crumple to the ground.
And she tosses the purse on top of the brute and starts walking away, and then she stops. Oh, what did I do? That's stupid. She runs back and picks up the purse and tucks it into her belt.
Be careful you do not jingle when you walk.
and she tries to rearrange it to try to be quiet.
And Marguerite will walk back over to the others.
Fenric gives you a thumbs up as you approach. Nice.
I
Well
think
done.
they. Merci. They both should not hear us now for a while at least. So, onwards?
Yes.
You sound reluctant?
I'm a little bit confused. This feels a little bit too easy.
You would like it to be more difficult, no?
I just mean, shouldn't there be more guards?
We are in a place that is not well traveled. I do not imagine they have much cause to have guards at all, let alone many.
I suppose.
Oh,
All
well,
right.
be on your guard. However, I think we cannot simply return to the ship and say, it seemed too easy, so we left.
That is a fair point. I'm not suggesting we back down. I just... Well,
Be on your guard, no?
yeah.
Be watchful. Then Marguerite will attempt to quietly head to the one-way inn.
The one-way... Ooh, that's a good place. The one-way in.
Next time we stop at a tavern.
The one-way in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Oh dear. The one-way inn.
And there is a large wooden door with iron supports.
What are the chances that this opens quietly?
Did anyone bring a can of oil with them? Or
No.
whale blubber?
You are the cook. If anyone would have oil, would it not be you?
Let me see if I have it with me.
Marguerite will attempt to quietly pull the door open.
And she fails.
Oh no.
And it is a small hallway that leads to another door.
Someone else may open that one. I was not lucky.
This does appear to be a bit of a designed bottleneck in case of assault
Us.
or escaping. Yeah,
In
essentially.
case of us. Oh dear.
Fenric will step through the door and approach the other one. Is it also iron and creaky?
It is iron it's wood with iron supports to give it strength, so it couldn't be easily just sort of like smashed down.
And Fenric will put his hand on the door and slowly open it.
And it also is a little creaky. And it leads into what looks like a main entrance sort of room. There is a desk. There is a couple of chairs. There is no one in there. There is a lit torch on the wall. There is some ledgers that looks like a prisoner's log, just from a very quick glance. And there is a door north. You can hear voices. Several. You can't hear what they're saying, but it's echoing through the one that's north is a wooden door with iron slats at the top like a window, and you can hear the voices echoing off the walls. A bit like an Emily on a Chris mic.
Of course.
Fenric will wave to the rest of the party to beckon them through.
All right.
And he'll put his finger to his lips.
Marguerite will raise her eyebrows and nod, like, yes, we know we've got to be quiet. And she will look
He-
to Fenric, like, what now?
Fenric will pull out his revolver.
His pistol?
Yes, his pistol, sorry.
He will change his gun.
He will pull out his flintlock pistol, which is, I believe, what he has. Yeah, so it doesn't really have a chamber, so he's looking down the barrel of the gun.
Exactly.
Is this correct?
I put something in here, didn't I?
Oh no. Maybe I'll pull the trigger to be sure.
And Fenric is going to go to the far side of the door and then walk around behind the back of the desk and take aim at the door.
The door does not notice that you are aiming at it.
Nor would it care.
You have surprise on your side.
All right, Marguerite is waiting for Benric to do something because he seemed to be indicating that he was leading the way by the beckoning and the shushing and all of that. So
Okay, then he will mime to Alana a door opening signal that they definitely worked out earlier.
And he walks up and opens the door. Pushes it open. And makes a entree-vous motion with her hand.
Does that draw the attention of anyone on the other side of the door?
It hasn't seemed to. It does look like the mess/kitchen. There is a couple of large tables for about 12 people, and along the edge is the kitchen, a pot, like a stove, which is got a fire burning within it. It has different meats hanging on hooks, and a pantry is in the northeast corner. There is 3 people preparing meals within.
who have not seen us, although we see them.
That is correct. One has a big cleaver, and he's a big 6 foot tall, 4 foot wide kind of muscly individual. He is cutting carrots.
But threateningly.
Well, he is bald. He has a scar. He does look much like you'd expect a prison pirate cook to be. And he has 2 others in there. They are all armed with longswords. She starts creeping up behind the guy with the cleaver. She's looking around for something to thump him with that is of decent weight and size. And while she's looking, Fenric lifts his pot, which wasn't as quiet as he'd hoped. And they all turn, basically see you and this crouching, sneaking teenager. The large cleaver-wielding maniac swings at her, and she grabs the nearest thing to get in the way, which happens to be a steel plate, and the cleaver buries itself in it, and she yanks and pulls him forward, and they land on the table, and she grabs the nearest thing on the table and throws it at him, which she is unhappy that it's an apple, and it just sort of bounces off his forehead, and he just looks angry at this point, and he yanks, and she lets go, and he rips the cleaver out of the plate, and she rolls over the table, and he throws the table out of the way. He just like grabs it and just heaves it onto its side, and he starts swinging at her, and she's ducking and weaving, and she manages to grab 2 saucepans, and she spins around, and there's a clang clang as she slams them onto his face, and he looks kind of confused and angry before he just sort of slowly falls to his knees and then slumps against the wall. And she spent all of her 4 raises.
Okay. Marguerite was slightly unprepared for all 3 of them turning around at the same time, but as their attention seems to be mainly on Alana at the start, as she had gotten the furthest in her quest to sneak up on and knock them out, she is able to take a moment to see what the other 2 are doing, and as one of them is about to step forwards and go after Alana as well, Marguerite will jump over the table as it is thrown to the side, manage to get in close to him, and as he is taller than her, she will punch up under his jaw with the hilt of her rapier and knock him unconscious.
Fenric is going to, kind of dismayed that his taking the pot off the wall caused a bit of noise. He's less quiet now. He's going to lumber forward, raise the pot towards the nearest brute, and smack him over the head with it. There's a loud clang that reverberates around the room as he crumples to his knees.
Alana tosses the 2 saucepans onto the remaining table and retrieves the cleaver.
Now, is that for a trophy or for a weapon?
See.
I see.
And there are 2 doors. There's steps leading down to the east and a door to the north.
So, what say all of you, down or forward?
I think we should check out this floor before we go to other floors.
I see.
Do you agree?
I have no real thoughts one way or the other.
And Fenric will push open the door.
And there is a fire burning in the east wall in a like a fireplace. There is several large chairs that are quite nice. It looks to be a bit of a records room. There is an old chest which is open on the northwest corner.
Fenric will take a quick scan around the room and make sure there's no one lurking around
There is no one lurking around.
except us.
Marguerite will walk over and look at the chest, but she's not expecting there to be anything interesting in it since it's open.
There is absolutely nothing within, but as she closes it, the crest on top is that of... She has seen it before on a painting at an inn in Isen.
Yes.
And it looks like the lock might have been the shape of a ring, not a normal key.
Ah.
Find anything good?
There is nothing in this chest. However, I feel as though I know who may have taken the contents.
Do tell.
The one who took the ring from the teacher.
See. Guess there's nothing we can really do about that now.
I suppose there is not. And she will look around the room to see if there are any records of anything. Any books that look interesting. Anything at all.
Looks remarkably empty.
Mm. I think anything of note from here would have been taken.
Hmm.
And I hope the one who took them is far away.
That would be surprising. I'd expect that they would be here.
Why?
If the chest is here.
The chest is here, but she could have taken the contents long ago, no? And I hardly think she would like to hang around here. She probably has better things to do. Like more murder.
Well, let's keep looking around.
Okay, but not in this room. We can go back and head down these stairs.
Fenrir pokes the fireplace.
May I ask what you are doing?
These old buildings were built with lots of secret passages going from room to room.
I certainly hope you do not intend to search every inch of every room we come across for a hidden switch.
No, but fireplaces are prime candidates. Haven't you
Why
heard?
is that?
I must not be familiar with all the old stories.
All the old stories of fireplaces that have hidden switches? No, I have not heard these tales.
Of treasure, of adventure.
We are not looking for treasure. And have you not had enough adventure yet?
Just don't want to miss anything.
Well, be careful not to miss any large individuals with weapons. We?
Just me.
Ugh.
If you see any others, let me know.
Oi, I shall be sure to say, hold on one moment, please. Before you attack, I must warn my friend here. Fenric, there are people with weapons. Now, be prepared.
Thank you.
And Marguerite will walk back to the other room and towards the other door, which is down some stairs.
Fenric will walk back as well, after a brief interlude.
Interlude of poking the fireplace more?
And it is an empty room. It's a room rather than a hallway, but it is mainly a large hallway. There's a door north, there's a door south. The passage continues through another door to the east, and you can hear laughing and talking and general revelry that's not a bit like a tavern, but a bit darker. And every now and again, you think you can hear a moan or a cry, which is much more quieter. So it's somewhere else in the facility.
Alana, do you want to check the rooms to the north and south that do not appear to have anyone in them, or would you prefer to deal with whoever is in there first?
And she ponders, and then she slinks over to the south door, and then slides up it, and then peers through the grating inside. And she sort of looks around a bit, and then she opens the door and goes in.
Yep, Marguerite's gonna follow her.
And it looks a bit like a planning room. There was a large chalkboard which has been cleaned. There is chalk and a duster, and the table is reasonably clean, and off to the side is a empty wine bottle and some glasses. And it looks like it's been reasonably recently used.
Alright, Marguerite's gonna have a look around for anything that looks interesting, although she's not thinking they're gonna leave anything lying about that says our top secret plan is. But just in case. But she's not expecting to find anything.
And you do not. It does look like it was used recently, but they've not left anything.
Fenric is also going to have a look around, and he is expecting to find something.
Really?
Does he
What does
find
he
anything?
No.
An empty wine bottle,
Huh?
some glasses,
And a chalkboard.
and a chalkboard.
And some chalk. Yep. And not seeing anything, Marguerite's gonna head back and check the room that was to the north.
It looks like a records room. Loads and loads of journals dating back possibly 400 years.
Well,
And you know that they have the dates on the end of the ledger. And
she's
it
gonna
doesn't-
look for what is the most recent one and how long ago that was.
It appears that it is still in use. There is names within the last 6 months.
Okay.
They are, however, written in a very different way. Like, it literally ended about 40 years ago, and they had a very set way of entering. It had prisoner number, name, crime committed, and sentence.
Mm.
And sentence was always the same. Life. And then there's a few pages that are blank,
Mm.
and then there's a new set of names of 22, and they don't have prisoner numbers, and they don't have sentence or any of that sort of stuff. Just a set
Just
of
a
names.
name? Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, Marguerite's just kind of flipping through that. Does anything, she will go back out into the little hallway.
And you can see the flickering light of a fire, so you think the room beyond does not necessarily, that there might not be a door separating wherever they are to the hall that you're going to be entering.
Fenric will raise his pot.
He kept that, huh?
Uh-huh. And Fenric will wait for a particularly rowdy bout of laughter and open the door.
You can see what looks like a common room, and there are 8 brutes seated around a table, drinking, playing cards. They do notice you, at least some do, on the far side that face that door. The ones with their back towards you have not. It will be approach.
He drops the pot, takes a step to the side. Marguerite's rushing around in front of him, trying to draw attention.
Around.
And he takes a few seconds, lines up the shot, and fires it at the one before. Just as he stands up at the table to point in the direction, the bullet hits him square in the forehead. And it doesn't do like as much damage as a modern day bullet would, as they are circular. But it does enough to
Kill him
At the
dead.
yeah, probably kill him dead. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're shooting him in the head.
And he goes flying back against the wall and slides down. I'm imagining the other brutes turn to look at Fenric.
Like, if they stabbed her, she'd stab him back. But no one stabbed her yet. So when she rushes out in front of Fenric, she is not trying to stab anyone. She will instead, in a fairly fluid motion, bend slightly, scoop the pot that he dropped onto the ground up, and slam it into the face of the nearest brute. It does a lot less damage than a pistol would, so he doesn't die. But he does fall to the ground.
And Alana charges forward. She slams her foot down on the end of the table, thinking she's going to climb up on it, but the boards are not nailed down, and it flies up, smashing the brute under the chin. it knocks his head back and he spins around and crashes to the ground. And she then pretends that that's exactly what she meant to do.
Of course she does.
And then your brutes charge forward and a melee begins of punching and kicking and throwing of tankards. And at the end of it, one of your brutes is down, and there is only 2 of them remaining.
Fenric is going to look at the barrel of his gun, kind of in shock, like, oh, I didn't mean to hit him in the forehead. It's not the most accurate weapon. And he's going to reload it. That's his action.
As there is still sort of a brawl going on of our brutes versus their brutes, Marguerite is going to pick up one of the tankards that was being tossed around, and she is going to throw it at one of the 2 remaining brutes, striking him in the side of the head.
And Alana grabs a tankard and hurls the beer into the guy's face. And it momentarily just distracts him. It doesn't
Fair.
burn him or anything, it's just beer.
It's not
And-
nutmeg.
but it's enough for her then to swing the tankard, which is metal, connecting with the side of his head, and with a clang, he goes down. As he falls over the table and slides to the ground, you see the large shadow in the other doorway to the east. It is a large individual, somewhat overweight. He's not wearing a shirt. He is wearing a leather apron and a leather mask. And in his hand is a branding iron, which is glowing red.
Well, that could be a problem.
Then Fenric will turn his pistol on the guy. Looks like you brought a... Looks at his weapon. Branding iron to a gunfight. The bullet deflects off of the branding iron, but still hits into him. Just ricochets slightly. Hitting into his arm.
Reed is a little torn as to whether this individual warrants stabbing fighting, or she should still be trying to hit people fighting. Well, considering Fenric has already shot him, and it's probably too late to just not.
Apologize.
Yes. Marguerite will, with her rapier. Again, she's not going straight for killing or anything, but she will sort of slash across his legs for her last remaining raise.
Alana runs in and she kicks him in the back of the leg, and he grabs her and throws her over the table. She rolls. It breaks the fall, but it's not acrobatic. The brutes rush in and they punch him and kick him, and there's a couple of scratches from dagger blades. And he grabs one and throws him against a wall, and he goes down, and he headbutts another one, and he goes down. Approach time. Fenric runs up and grabs the branding iron. You take 10 points of damage, and you spend 1 raise to grab it. But you
Okay.
succeed in making it much more difficult for him to use that on Marguerite.
And boy, is he distracted!
He thinks you're crazy.
He does! Marguerite is also thinking you're crazy. Why are you grabbing a red hot?
Haha, that's really hot.
What did you think it was? It is glowing!
I thought it was painted or something. I don't know.
Painted glowing!
Just hit him! Hit him!
Okay. So Marguerite is also momentarily taken aback by Fenric's very bold choice to wrap a red hot branding iron. But once she has managed to, she is not going to go for the arm that has the branding iron, even though her instinct would be to try and disarm this individual. Fenric is much too close to that arm, and she does not want to accidentally slash him, as he has just sustained who knows what sort of degree burns on his hand already. So she's going to go for the other side of this terrifying individual, and she is going to stab his other arm for 5 raises. And she's still shaking her head in disbelief at Fenric while she does it.
Alana picks herself up, runs up, kicks him behind the knee, and he comes down to one knee, and then she does a wild swing, which is a right hook that connects with his jaw, and his head snaps to the left from the impact, and then he slumps over. And she looks triumphant, but she is shaking her hand in pain.
Fenric is doing the same.
Marguerite is grabbing Fenric's wrist, and she is going to shove his hand into a bucket of water that is lying on the floor.
That's
What
better.
on earth were you thinking?
I didn't want him to swing that around, hitting you guys.
So you grabbed red hot metal. You are an idiot.
It worked.
Ah, it worked. Look at your hand. And she pulls
Oh,
it up out of the
God.
water, and then he can see that it's blistering.
Why did you do that?
How
do
will I
not
play
know.
the accordion now?
Oh my goodness, your hand is not burned off.
This is gonna take so long to heal.
How will he play the accordion now?
Ugh, do not tell him that. He is already distressed.
I thought that was a silver lining.
Not for him. And she's going to pull some fabric off one of the brutes on the ground, rip his shirt, and she's going to attempt to bandage up the burn. I cannot do this well. I am not the doctor. However, if you are to continue on with us, this is the best we can do for now.
At least I had the sense to use my left hand.
Look, I have a rule for you. If you see metal and it is glowing, do not touch it. It is either very hot or magic.
Yes, Mom.
Ugh. And she will roll her eyes at him, and she will go check on both of the brutes of ours that were knocked out / down to see if they are living.
They are injured but not dead.
Are they conscious?
They are not.
She's gonna try and pull them so they're sitting up against the wall and make a mental note to collect them on our way out, if indeed we make it out.
Fenric has put his hand back into the bucket of water with the wrapping on it. To try and, I guess, take some of the water with him. Actually, he's gonna pick up the bucket and carry it with him, with his hand in it.
Unfortunately for you, I do not know where they keep the burn ointment in this prison.
I'll be fine. Just
I have my doubts. Not because of your end, that will heal. I mean, I have my doubts that you will be fine if this is the course of action you find wise.
I did it to protect all of you.
And that sentiment I appreciate. The enactment of that sentiment, however, could use some work. No?
Yeah.
It will yield. You will play accordion again, but it will not yield today.
Fenric will put his pistol on the table and try and reload it with one hand.
Do you need someone to do that for you?
I think I got it.
You are sure?
He's kind of just pushing it around the table.
Marguerite's gonna ask one of our remaining sailors to do something about it because she doesn't really get guns.
And he comes over and loads it.
Thank you.
Très bien. Please do try not to do that again.
I will try.
I am glad. Then we shall continue on, I suppose. Unless you need to return to the ship, although I would not send you on your own.
How am I gonna climb back down?
We will cross that bridge when we come to it.
Right. Alright, you keep going. I'll hang back a bit. I kind of only got one shot.
You wish to stay here?
Oh, no, I'll follow, just not first.
If you are following, you cannot be first. But very well. Marguerite will go investigate the doorway that the branding iron man came through.
And a couple of the brutes are like, maybe you could lower him like a barrel. So, oh, remember when we did the donkey? Oh yeah, we did the donkey that time. Maybe we could lower him like the donkey. Yeah, that'll work.
Fenric is slightly amused. He's taking it well.
And you can see these are all cells, and in each cell there is at least 1 or 2 people, for a total of 12 prisoners.
Should we let them out?
I do not know, because I do not know if the fact that the people who are holding you prisoner do not like us means that you do, or if they are also going to dislike us.
Fenric will walk up to the nearest prisoner. What are you in for?
They're all wearing rags, and they all have been at some point branded on their left arm that you can see. Like a cattle brand. And not all of them, well, only a couple speak Avalonian. They don't really know why they are here. They were doing work that they knew was illegal, and instead of getting paid, they ended up here.
And who were you working for?
They thought it was a crime syndicate. There was, one of them is a forger, one of them was a moneylender, one of them was a banker, not a big bank, but someone involved in the financial. There was a merchant.
So all like non-violent.
No one
offenses.
has said to you that they were in, like, I mean, they could be lying, but they
No
don't
one's like,
look
I'm an assassin.
right. But none of them look like thugs or warriors. It does have the feel that they were being kept quiet, but maybe at some point they might have got let out if whatever plan had come to fruition and they could no longer hurt it, or maybe there was a concern that their skills would be needed again, which is why they're not dead.
Hmm.
They're not sure.
And what does the brand look like on their arms?
It's similar to a fleur-de-lis, but it is
Okay.
upside down.
Huh.
Fenric will pull Marguerite aside. Look, I think these are decent folk who shouldn't really be in prison. Do you concur?
If I thought everyone who had committed a crime should be in prison, then we should be in there too, no? So we let them go, and perhaps we bring them along so they may speak to Roberto. They may know something.
That is what I was thinking. They do seem to be the kind of people who, if we have favor with them, that is a good thing. Assuming they can regain their former standing.
I do not quite know what you mean. The former standing of a criminal is what?
Well, like that one over there, he was a merchant. A merchant owing you a favor? It's not such a bad thing.
A merchant owing me a favor is a Wojak.
That's true. I suppose we have a few of those now.
Also, a Thomas Green, or whatever his name is, that is a merchant owing me a favor. Merchants owing me a favor are not lacking, it seems. But regardless, I say we let them out and we bring them to speak to Roberto. Whether or not they have standing.
Yes, I just think there may be benefits other than simply freeing some more or less innocent people. You never know.
All right, so we find the key, no?
Yes. Fenric will walk back to the Iron Brand person and see if he has keys on him.
He does.
Here we go. He will toss the keys to Marguerite.
Who will begin unlocking cell doors.
And you let them out. They are very grateful. They are not in the greatest of health.
Luckily, we have a doctor on this ship who also needs to look at your hand. Well, can we gather everyone, including the two who are unconscious, in there and make our way back?
Those ones you may have to lower down like a donkey.
Well, we shall see.
I should be alright.
Margaret's gonna ask the conscious crew members to help with the unconscious ones and sort of try and herd everyone back to where we climbed up.
And a couple of the larger ones heft them over their shoulder.
And she's just gonna make sure Alana's coming along.
Cheers.
Excellent.
As you leave, you can see one of the ships from below has unfurled its sails and has started to sail away. So it will take a little while to get everyone back down the ropes because not everyone is sailors. So some of them, they tie and then lower like an item rather than ask if they can climb, assuming
Fair enough.
regular smugglers and things like that are not good at rigging and the like, so it takes a little longer than before to get, and they have to do the same with the unconscious. They've got to tie them and then lower them. They can't easily climb down with them. But it does appear the ship is already been preparing for sail.
Excellent.
Fenric will lead the way to the doctor's room.
So you go below deck to do that with the Catalina is thrilled with the amount of injuries
Yep.
and sick people she now has.
Hmm.
The Penance comes to sail, and the captain is in hasty discussion with one of the crew, who nods and starts to hurry away. And then the captain calls to him, "Make sure to bring powder to the guns." He nods, and Goat disappears below deck. You haven't seen the ship do this for a long time, but they are definitely rigging for battle. And one of the men at the front, as he's running by Alana, he slaps her on the shoulder, and she goes with him below deck.
Okay. And Marguerite will stay on deck and assist with any preparations there.
And it seems that you've had a bit of luck in that they may not have actually known that you were in the prison above, and their course that they were setting was coming around the north to head to the east, which was cutting across where you had been hidden. And you can see a similar sized armed merchant ahead, and the Penance, probably more by skill than luck, has positioned themselves for a better cut of the wind. There is no doubt now, though, that you have not been seen, as the other ship is opening its gun ports, but the Penance is definitely in a better position.
Okay. Well, I won't keep the reroll because that's even worse.
That is 3 as well.
Is it? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. 3.
All of you were once prisoners, but now you must fight for your freedom. This is your ship now. If you want to survive, you have to earn it. I know you may be injured, but you must keep fighting. All of you, gather powder, bring it to the cannons. If you are strong enough, lift the cannonballs to the cannons. Arm yourselves in case it comes to close quarters. Be ready for anything.
So the ships are heading in the same direction, but the Penance is definitely faster and gets to position itself just a little bit better. Being quiet is no longer needed now. From Marguerite's position, up in the rigging, you can see that they are preparing to board. They seem to have some confidence that they're going to succeed. You hear an echo from below, "Fire on the uproll!" followed by a boomba! And they return fire, and it's not as accurate, but a couple slam into the Penance, and you can hear screams from below. And there's rapid reloading. And a second volley smashes into the other ship, causing devastating damage and a fire. Lots of screams. The balls don't explode because they are solid shot, but they definitely puncture and throw large splinters. They call them splinters, but they can be up to 2 feet long.
Big. Very big.
And tearing into bodies does pretty horrific wounds. And then the Penance veers towards it as one of the masts collapses on the other ship, wrapping the helm area in sail, which catches fire. and they very quickly go from cannon to some brutes preparing to board.
Fenric is going to grab ropes. So go back above deck, grab ropes, and try and grapple onto the other ship by tossing them across.
And there is both sides open with a volley of pistol and musket shots as the grapples on both are holding the ships tightly together.
Well, still fighting, no matter which ship she's on, so I guess she is gonna try and cross over.
So there's brutes in your way, but you can easily get over them. You can swing across. You know, they might swing their cutlass at you as Marguerite goes by, and then they clash with your brutes as they swarm over the deck. And the fighting is all over the place, and she's having to duck and weave, and she can see the peacock. And his swordsmanship is extremely precise. And a couple of your brutes that get too close and overconfident, he dispatches with ease.
All right, and with her rapier drawn, she is going to hone in on this peacock that she recognized.
He sees you,
Excellent.
and he pushes a couple of brutes, one of yours, out of the way with an air of disdain, as if he'd been touching something unpleasant.
Ah. And considering he has been showing off some fancy sword work, she is going to shift into a fencing stance and look to him to see if he will duel.
So then there's a cluster of enemy brutes about to carry a gunpowder barrel down below deck, and Fenric sees that, buys it, and raises his pistol, aims a shot, and shoots it, creating an explosion that rocks the boat, knocking some of the brutes, both ours and theirs, making their legs shaky, and blowing up a bunch of them. And I'll spend a hero point to do that.
And Marguerite is trained in fencing. However, when you learn to fence at court, it is never on the deck of a ship that is moving and around explosions and fighting. So, while she is confident, she is not perhaps as clean and precise as her opponent. However, she isn't too concerned, and they are moving back and forth among the explosions, not all caused by Fenric, and the brawling of brutes and the chaos. And they're both managing to parry and thrust forward, but none of it has been particularly aggressive as of yet. More just sort of seeing what the other person's skill level is. And she is contemplating, and in the middle of this back and forth, she is going to ask, "Why are you here?"
Tying up loose ends. And one that I agree with Reese should have been tied up long ago. And he attacks,
And she parries.
cutting
And-
and jabbing and parrying and weaving as
Hmm.
you're maneuvering around, and every now and again having to step in between and around other brutes that are fighting their own battles.
Yep, she'll duck under a punch coming from a brute on her own ship and step aside from a cutlass that is being swung by one of his brutes, and then she will thrust and stab him in the shoulder, and I'm going to spend my hero points because I don't know what else to do with them to make that 8 raises.
And he is going to grunt in pain. And as you withdraw, he does 3 slices, one on her upper leg, one on her upper arm, and one on her cheek for 15.
Oh my goodness.
Fenric is still on the ship, the Penance, and one of the former prisoners that he inspired comes running over, and he has a crate of half-filled rum bottles and rags, and offers them to Fenric, who smiles. Thank you. He might take a swig of one of them before stuffing the soaked rag into the bottle and igniting it. And he's going to throw it across to the other ship and attempt to throw it somewhere behind the adversary, Peacock Man.
Still trying to blow up Marguerite indirectly. Okay, I've got 3 raises and a dead die.
I'll buy it.
Okay.
I have 4 and a dead die.
I'll buy it.
And he's gonna throw another Molotov cocktail across. I will aim for the mast. I don't want this ship going anywhere. And I'll spend a hero point to do that, and another one to do bonus damage to it. So it's like burning up the side of the mast.
There's a crash and then a bit of a roar behind the enemy Marguerite is fighting as one of Fenric's makeshift explosives sets fire to the deck behind him. And she will try and force him into the flames, but he, understandably, does not wish to be in them, so he is more aggressively pushing forwards rather than being on the defensive and moving back. So she's having some trouble moving him towards the fire, and they end up quite close with the blades locked as she is trying to push him and he is trying desperately not to be pushed. So they are both quite close to the fire, and there is a lot of tension as the blades are pushing against each other. And she will suddenly step back. So he's slightly off balance from the sudden stop of the push against him, and she will attempt to kick at his legs and knock him back into the fire. So he was not expecting her to step back, and he is knocked off balance. She suddenly kicks out her foot and connects with his knee, which sends him back into the fire, and the blaze is bigger than she was expecting at this point, and as he does fall back into the blaze, and Marguerite is looking at him, wondering if at this point she should actually help him out, because fire is not pleasant. The mast, which Fenric had set alight, has partially burned through, and the top of it does fall, crashing on top of him. And as it falls, the charred wood and embers sort of puff up into a shower of sparks, and she steps back, and He is gone.
The fighting ends soon after, with the Penance being victorious, and they start to hastily cut the enemy's grapples and unhook their own, as this ship is now well and truly ablaze, and the last thing they want to be is next to it. Not just because it might explode, but in general, fire and ships of this era are not something you want to have mixing. So they're trying to separate as quickly as possible, and they're returning to the Penance as quickly as they can.
Marguerite is headed back to the Penance, and as she heads back across, she has the thought that if this other ship goes down, that is absolutely going to be blamed on her, as she stood on its deck.
I was thinking the same thing.
And two brutes run up on deck from below, and they're holding a chest, and they start swinging it, and then they toss it over the side, and it crashes atop the Penance's deck, and the coins spill out everywhere, but that they're fine with that. And then they leap over. They don't land as cleanly, they land more on the side, but there's the rope ladder on the side, and they hook into that and start climbing aboard deck.
Fenric will help them aboard with his good hand.
And as you pull away, the other ship definitely starts to sink as the water starts to go over the front of the deck.
And Marguerite will look at this with a sort of rueful smile.
How many is that now?
I am not the one that is counting. Ask the crew.
And the
dear.
makeshift purser starts to collect the coins, put them back into the chest. But he finds a letter, which he hands to Marguerite.
And she will take it and look at it. And she will fold the letter back up and put it in her pocket, thinking that Roberto would probably like to see this.
Seventh Sea, starring Emily as Marguerite, Shadow as Fenric, Ghost as the teller of stories. Seventh Sea is released by Chaosium Games and written by John Wick. Some of the sound come from Sirenscape.com. You can find us at critfail.com.